Home values in Roatan, Honduras, whether you're selling or looking to buy in Roatan, Honduras, our real estate market is a little bit different from others because we don't usually have direct comps. Now, sometimes we do with new construction, but the majority of houses they're all cut, most of them are custom built. There's not usually a duplicate anywhere, or at least not a duplicate in the same area. So how on earth do we come up with the pricing structure? Well, the easy answer is, well, it depends the maximum amount that a buyer is willing to pay and the least amount that a seller is willing to pay. So, and that's the basic definition in the United States, or where you are coming from as well in most areas. However, we are such a micro economy that we do not have lots and lots of comps or similar houses. So a lot will go, what the biggest things that impact the price is, one is the demand. How many other buyers are out there looking for exactly what you're looking for? The location is going to be the number one thing that impacts the price, but then you're also looking at quality of build. It's not necessarily the square footage of a home, which that's typically how I used to do it when I was a broker in the United States. It's price per square foot. And then you look at all the houses around. In Roatan, it doesn't really work that way. So a lot of it is just the max the buyer is willing and able to pay for something that their deemed value, which that makes the prices go all over the place. But you know, it's just all over the place. And so something I do when I have a seller looking to sell, what I like to do to price it is what would be the price for the land, and then also the price to rebuild something that is comparable. Now, there will be a great variation in homes, concrete homes. I'm seeing a lot that are being built for about $80 some a square foot. And then I have other concrete homes that are about $165, $185 a square foot. And a lot of that goes into the finishings, some items in that house, depending on if it's built to a US standard versus a Honduran standard versus a European standard, Canadian standard. All of these little things are going to impact the value of the house. So you might have two houses right next to each other. I can tell you the house that I'm at, it is not worth $3.2 million, but my next door neighbor just sold their house for $3.2 million. My other neighbor, so I have 5 total neighbors in my house. The other one just sold their house for around $1 million. With all due respect to my home, it's not going to sell for those prices. However, it's so you don't always know exactly what your neighbor was, unless you want to buy my house for $1 million, and it is absolutely 100% for sale. So if you're thinking about a price, what to do, a lot of it is in the value is in the eyes of the beholder, and what the seller thinks. Sellers are not always, reasonable with their prices, but also it can be a waiting game because we are a micro economy. We do not have the economies of scale, so we don't usually have averages. So that's why I like the land value and the cost to build today. But there is a lot of variation in the way that you build. Even with construction, I'm seeing a lot of concrete homes being built up, but they don't have a lot of the little details that would be in, a home like this or that $3.2 million house. A lot of it comes into the finishings, the type of wire being used, the type of roofing materials, everything. And it even can come down to the grit of concrete, which can actually make a huge difference, especially if you're trying to retain water. So cisterns, pools, roof, you don't want water coming in, obviously. So there's a lot of little details that all impact the price. And so sometimes price can be a little bit deceiving, but the biggest thing that's very important in Roatan is to have someone advocating on your side that is knowledgeable about the island. And I know this is where I'm trying to, there's several realtors on the island that are very good, but you do want someone that is knowledgeable. It doesn't actually have to be a realtor, but that is, that's what we do full time. But you definitely want an advocate that can explain to you the differences in why a house is valued at this price. And also it depends on your goals and wants. And we have a small market. So if you find that house that has 90% of what you're looking for, that's probably amazing, and you're going to be willing to pay a little bit more, which is why we do have slight fluctuations in the market. However, our swings, we have less than a 10% swing right now. I believe our closing to list was for appropriately listed houses was around 6%. So there isn't very a swing unless you do get into the higher price point homes over $1 million where you do see a little bit more. So if you ever have any questions or want a home value or a home estimate, it's almost a random number generator, but at the end of the day, it's all about how quick you want to sell a house, how the house was built, the location, and then the buyer or the seller. So thanks so much for tuning in. My door is always open.